Hey, welcome, you Cine-MANIACs. How's it going?
Doing well.
Excellent. And again, I got to keep saying Indian Cine-MANIACs. I always forget that, but we all know.
Well, you don't want to confuse it with our other shows like African Cine-MANIACs and European Cine-MANIACs.
If only we had all that.
But. Listen, before we get started, Ralph and I have a little bittersweet announcement to make. You guys have gotten to know us over the year that we've been doing this, or half a year. Our father passed away on Sunday, last Sunday, the 29th. He was 88 years old. He had kind of a rough time after Thanksgiving, so he passed away peacefully. And we talked about, should we do this show tonight? And I got to tell you something. If you knew my father at all, you would know that there's absolutely no way he would not want us to do this show. In fact, I can hear him saying now, "I'm dead. What do I care?" Because that's exactly what he would say. And this is what he would want us to do. And we just wanted you guys to know that, because you've been big supporters of us. And, Ralph and I are going to miss him. But as he always said to me when I was doing plays, the show must go on. And the show's going on tonight.
Well, let me just also add, I am named after my father.
I just learned that. I didn't know that until I read the obituary.
the third.
Yep.
So I'm his living legacy. And again,
oh boy.
Yeah, I know. He didn't set the bar high with that living legacy, just to be clear. And it's Ralph Eugene Quattruzzi.
Right.
You skipped the middle name. Why did you leave that out? That's interesting that you left that out.
It's Ralph Eugene Quattruzzi III.
That's right.
And interestingly enough, this film we're going to do, Eega, Dad may come back as an annoying fly. We don't know. So
I did think about that, actually.
Right. Yeah. So let's see what happens. Okay. Speaking of which, who wants to talk about Eega?
Someone else has got to read the thing. Anyone can read it. Who's going to do it? Debbie, why don't you read it today? What do you say? Oh, I'm sorry, Debbie. Did I wake you up, Debbie?
No.
Debbie.
No.
Are you all right?
Read it.
You don't have to. I just thought it'd be fun. I mean, our fans love you guys. You guys should read it.
Yeah, Aunt Debbie.
I hate Debbie. I can remember how to spell. This Eega, a murdered man is reincarnated as a housefly and seeks to avenge his death.
That's it.
That's what more can you say?
Okay, Zooby do or Zooby don't? Anybody?
Oh, man. So it's kind of like Spider-Man, kind of like that.
This was directed by the director of RRR.
Yep. And
who was named what? Yep. Drew, what's his name? I'm sorry.
S.S. Rajamouli.
I don't know what year did it come out. You guys have that up there?
2012.
2012. Yeah.
Quite an ambitious film for 2012 to use this much animation or CGI or whatever we're going to call it in a film and actually have it work. Like the concept of this just seems ridiculous.
And this movie was huge.
Yeah.
When it came out. Huge.
Someone's going to die, come back as a fly, and become a nemesis for some guy, some criminal that murdered him because he was infatuated with this guy's. I mean, this movie's strange because of the stalking aspect of the. I know, strange. Other than that, it's a fly that's doing this, but just like this guy, Nari, was that his name? They used
Nani.
They used their real names,
which is his real name. Yeah, they're all their real names.
The criminal had a real name too.
Sudeep is his real name too.
Yeah. He was basically stalking this girl who was being coy, and finally they meet cute, and then he gets murdered because.
Wait, who was stalking who?
He was stalking
him.
Nani.
Well, Nani. I mean, stalking.
Well, and
is
it's
kind of
luckily she's a miniature artist, which definitely figures in the plot of this thing. It's an extreme. She, it was
very
she's making
convenient.
Tiny little.
Very
convenient.
She had tiny tools.
And it's
that whole stalking thing is actually. Even just based on what we've watched, that's I think pretty Indian in these movies. Like, I'm gonna make you love me. I'm not gonna tie you up in the basement, but I'm gonna wear you down.
No, it seems sweet and innocent in these, but it's
she did love him. She was just playing hard to get.
She was just playing hard to get.
She was being coy and cute. Adorable girl, adorable actress.
It always reminds me of an Onion article I read once that said, "Man arrested for romantic comedy film behavior."
Right. I mean,
exactly. And that's a romantic comedy trope, whether you're in India or the United States or anywhere. The guy that doesn't take no.
Right, never gives up.
Answer. He never gives up.
Never give up. Never.
Well, I have a list of songs that are nothing but stalking songs.
Oh,
songs
sure.
about the police. Every breath you
movie-
take. I
every
got a
breath
whole
you
list
take,
of these
yeah.
as I listen
Oh, I
to
thought
it.
you meant the ones that you wrote. Yes, there are other songs.
No,
as
those
well.
are songs I wrote.
Yeah,
I wrote a few of
that's,
them.
that's
So,
fair.
back to the film. So, this guy has starts to have a relationship with this woman who at the same time is introduced to this construction king who's also
Billionaire.
a criminal, right? He's a criminal.
He's a gangster. Yeah.
Gangster. And he ends up working with her nonprofit or some organization she's dealing with schools because he wants to date her and hang out with her.
And no woman can resist him.
And no woman, he's a
Right.
wolf. I
Gabby
forget what he
couldn't
says. There's
resist
nobody
him.
that can resist
Oh.
me.
I
But
could
the
resist.
hair. It's the hair.
Well, he was a good looking guy. He was just an evil prick.
They're all good looking.
So he starts, dating her,
Good
trying to
job.
date her, but he's noticing that she's looking at this other guy who keeps walking by, and he figures out that she's actually got a thing for this other guy, and he grabs him off the street right as these two are actually ready to get together. He spent years trying to get with her. Finally, they're going to
2
get
years.
together, and he gets taken and brutally murdered. I mean, that scene was brutal.
Pretty ugly.
And lo and behold, in the middle of his death scene, he gets a lightning bolt or something happens, and he gets reincarnated as a fly and decides that he's going to, go get this guy who killed him and is going after his girl. I mean, the premise is just
revenge.
It's revenge.
Yeah,
Revenge.
that's what it is. Yeah, absolutely.
The amazing thing about the film is, A, that's amazing that they did that. B, they pulled it off. It actually
So
works. He's an
imaginative.
annoying little fly. It was
Pretty
amazing.
high concept.
It was great. But the emotions that he got out of this
Out of the
fly
fly.
animation
Yeah.
were just because,
A lot.
you really like the kid. That kid
Yeah.
was very sweet and innocent, and he was nice.
I
And
liked
the
him better as a
took
fly.
that
Actually.
on. What's that?
I liked him better as a fly. I didn't dislike him as Nani, but when he became a fly, I felt more connected to him emotionally. I'm not kidding. Like I really felt
Well,
that
he
the
was-
character came through in the fly because he was so wronged and so in love, and I can't believe it's a fly. It was
Well,
really
I read
amazing.
the thing about how the way they designed the fly with all the eyes, how are they going to get emotion? How are they going to show emotion? And they strapped him. I think they put something
covered
over
his
his
head.
head
They covered his head.
to see what he could do with his
Right.
hands to
Right.
to simulate what
What
some
was his body
reaction would
language?
be.
Connected.
Right.
Um,
And it worked.
it worked.
I mean, it worked.
It worked. Now, as always, super long.
That's not that long.
Yeah, I didn't
No.
think I mean, that
2 hours, 12
2:20,
minutes.
This
or
flew
something.
by.
Yeah, it didn't. That
It
was,
flew by.
that
was good.
Yeah, I didn't notice the time on this movie. I first of all, I love this movie. When Drew gave his description of this movie, I was like, how the hell does a movie like this even work?
Right.
And then there are two things that amazed me about this movie. One, when they put the fly in danger, you felt something about, oh my
Yeah.
God, this fly could get crushed or
Right.
killed.
Right.
The way they created that tension. But the other thing was Sudeep, who I never heard of before. What an amazing performance by this guy, because he starts off as this charming guy and then slowly builds up to what he's really like. But the funny thing about it, like when he noticed when they were eating at the restaurant and he notices the guy, they go do a close up of his eyes and the music goes da, 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 like I've just found out what's going on here. But this movie to me, once the fly shows up with Sudeep, is the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it was so over, his performance once the fly was there was so over the top funny to me compared to what he was like in the rest of the movie. I just loved it. His reaction, there was nothing there when he swat in his face and stuff, but he was so convincing that this little thing was driving him nuts.
Well, without his
And that was a
physicality-
small fly, too.
Yeah.
But without his physicality and the stuff
Yeah.
he was doing, you wouldn't believe that.
No, that's right.
Right. So without
what
that
amazed me
side of
about
it, the other thing you'd never believed, and that's as important as the CGI working right. And it did.
Right.
Well, I feel like the scene that I keep thinking of, which really I think pulls everything together for what John just said about this guy's performance, is when he's got a magnifying glass and he's looking at dead flies and trying to identify the fly that's been torturing him, which is on its face, of course, ridiculous, and the whole thing works. I mean, it was completely sold to me. I completely bought it, and I bought that he was like, "Am I losing my mind?"
Right.
Actually, no. Everyone around him was
Right.
like, "He's losing his mind." He was like, "I'm going to get this fucking fly," and it was amazing. like really amazing. I was so impressed. I mean, that's what Rajamouli has become to me when I think about his movies, is that they are very imaginative. It also happens that he can pull it off, but they're just so imaginative. And this is the second time I watched this, because I watched this right after we watched I think Bahubali, because I was like, I got to see more in that movie.
Deep was in Bahubali too, I think.
I'm not sure about that. I didn't look at his other roles. But I mean, it was great to watch it a second time. And I won't lie, I told Kelly I want you to watch this. You might find the first 30 minutes a little rough with the romantic comedy stuff, because it's not, I don't know, I didn't find it that warm. But she 100% watched it to indulge her husband, who loves Indian movies, and she really liked it. Yeah. And she tells people, I can't believe that I liked it, but it was really good. So I'm glad you guys
what made it work, okay, he did a smart thing. He turned it into a story that a father's telling his son.
Right, a fairy tale.
A fairy tale.
Right.
So with that added, you go, okay, I'll buy anything now. Right. Reality doesn't even matter. Like
when the fly was working out, when the fly was working out to get stronger,
I mean,
that whole
come on,
it's Rocky montage.
That was awesome.
It's just it's out of this world. I can't believe they pulled something like that off. And again, I think it works in the Indian film. I don't think it would work. Maybe it could, but the sentimentality that goes on in Indian film, like the romance and the fact that she's a miniature artist and she makes little goggles. I mean, come on.
Oh, it's awesome.
And a mask.
And a mask.
And spikes.
And just the way they treat. I mean, Drew brought it up. I mean, the way they treat how cute it is that he's stalking her the way he does. I mean, it's just cute in these films. It's not uncomfortable. It's just cute.
Well, you could say he buzzed around her the whole movie. Until he started
did buzz around her,
really
and then she's with on the shoulder, and they're friends again. And how he called it out, and he spelled his name out or something in the water.
Well, first when he was still alive, he said, "You get near her, I'm going to kill you."
Right
before he died.
Well, he was getting beat.
That set it up when the fly was spelling, "I'm going to."
I will kill you. That was awesome.
And I was glad he did it in English too.
Yeah, that's right. He did it in English. That's right. Yeah.
So, well, to me, what really I was really amazed by this. I mean, Rajamouli also did RRR, which was a higher budget film. But even looking at this earlier film, R&R came out last year, and this was 11 years earlier. Is his instinctive nature as a filmmaker? He was great shot selection. It looked great.
Yeah,
it's like there was like no wasted moment in it. In the it's sort of like it's a silly film, And I hate to say, but in America, if you watch a comedy, most of them are not strongly directed in the visual sense. Mm-hmm. And it's like, what is this movie? It is a comedy.
Yeah.
It's a revenge film, but it's a comedy. And it had all the thoughtful shots you would expect in a high budget action film, and I thought he did a great job with that. He's just an instinctive filmmaker.
It reminded me a little bit of Toy Story in the sense of like the scene at the end when Buzz and Woody are chasing down the truck. Because that scene where the fly gets on the cop cars to chase down the bad guy again, because the bad guy finally flipped him out the window, and the way he's able to get back in. All that stuff. Yes, he's an imaginative filmmaker. There's no question. Who knows where to place a camera or hires the right people to do what he needs to do, because they are pretty at the same time as they're well acted and just fun. I mean, again, if you told somebody this concept, you'd be like, "What are you nuts?"
Yeah, exactly.
This can't work. It cannot work.
I didn't think it could sustain for that length.
Neither, but that has everything to do with the emotion of the fly.
It had some pretty dark moments. I mean, when he stabbed the guy with the pen.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like, where did that come from? And then, frankly, when he was ripping the wings off the fly at the end, when he had him on the magnet, I'm like, wow, this got dark quick. And then when he comes back and he does the dance number at the end of the credits, I was like, oh my God, this is so cool.
Well, there was
another
American
movie
film
that he wrote with his dad, and I don't know why. I just love that.
Yeah,
love it.
Yeah, what are you gonna say about it? What American?
There
film?
was an American film, The Fly, with Vincent Price, and it was.
Well, that was the Return of the Fly. David Hedison was the Fly.
Return of the Fly was,
I thought it was Jeff Goldblum.
That was a great version.
That's going way recent. But one thing I remember about the help me.
Help me.
It was kind of creepy, but it was really a science fiction film. But this
It was a
one
horror
more of
film.
it transitioned from, romantic comedy
Yeah.
to a cartoon. Now, the transition, right when he first became a fly,
Yeah.
it was like, oh no, cartoon, Roger Rabbit or whatever, it just reminded me of mixing the medias. And, what happens when you mix the medias, Sean?
What happens?
I don't know. They mix them up. I don't know.
You get a great film. Roger
I was
Rabbit's a
waiting
great
for a
film. What do
punchline,
you- I don't
Deb.
know
I
what
was.
you're-
where
I
you
didn't
going
have
with
one.
punchline there?
I
I
think
was
Jurassic
ready.
Park.
Sean,
Jurassic
you
Park
would have
mixed
something to
medias.
say for that, right?
I couldn't think of one right now. You
Well, I was waiting.
caught me off guard.
All right. Well, we got to be careful. We pick on you guys too much. Our Indian friends are
Oh,
getting
that's
upset
right. We
Oh,
bully
we're-
you.
at
They're
the way
saying
we bully you too.
Yeah.
That's love. That's your just namaste. That's your love.
Who was the
uh,
actress that played the lead?
Samantha Ruth.
Has she been in anything else that we've seen?
Yeah, she was. I read she. They wanted a bunch of American actresses for that role, and they went down the list of names. Who was the one that was in that cheerleader movie? I'm drawing a blank.
Kirsten Dunst.
Kristen Dunst was one.
Well,
Yeah,
she
they
had
did
a
a bunch
really young Sandra Bullock vibe, like when
Yeah.
Sandra Bullock started.
I
when
thought she was
first
great.
started. Yeah, no,
Mm-hmm.
just gorgeous.
When she sprayed him, that scene when she sprayed him with the fly spray, and it was so dramatic. The music was building to dramatic, and oh my God, she's gonna kill him.
I
Like,
was
oh,
worried.
I know, it was crazy. You really cared what
It's
happened
just
to
so
this little
wild.
tiny fly.
Chris,
I want to hear what Chris said. I wonder if he
Chris is-
liked it because
Yeah, he's so
the fly
quiet.
had a room with a view. I don't know if you know that. I mean,
Yeah. This is one movie I didn't think could sustain the time. Yeah, I think this movie would have clipped along nicely at 90 minutes, at an hour and a half. But at 2:15, I was checking my watch. Like, I was just like, I felt like, and the funny thing is that I felt like a lot of the scenes were great. The one scene that I will say that I don't know why it kills me is when he's trying to do the presentation in that board.
yes, yeah.
That's pretty
I
funny.
don't know why. Like all throughout the film, I was like kind of like smirking and laughing, but that I was bust out laughing because that for some reason he shows up with a full face motorcycle
And the gloves. And the
and the
gloves.
gloves,
So funny.
and then he's going after it and
His
everything.
love of racing.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
His
But
number
it's
two
just-
was working very hard to cover that up. That was kind of impressive till he got stabbed in the neck and died. But whatever.
But it just I don't know. I felt like a lot of the scenes kind of dragged on a bit long. Like I felt if they were tight. Here's my thing. I've always been a big believer in that comedies should generally be shorter. Brevity, the soul of wit, all of that. I actually kind of get into that. And I think sometimes when you draw out a comic scene, sometimes it loses some of its amusing elements to it. Cause it's the surprise. It's the funny.
Yeah.
It's the, that's part of what makes funny. And what I liked about, but you know what there was, and the guy who plays the bad guy, he
Sudeep.
was Sudeep. Yeah. He was fantastic. A great physical actor
Yeah.
too. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he had that kind of slapsticky kind of physical acting that I found amusing. Like I said, I could have been if it had been shorter. Plus, here's my other thing though. When we get to the very end, right? Like, I mean, he does scrape onto the camera lens that he's going to be back.
Yeah.
He could have killed that guy on the motorcycle, and he was a bit of a jerk. He was a bit of a he's a pushy guy, but he's just trying to talk to her. It's like,
He was just threatening him. He wasn't going to kill
It's
him.
a fairy tale. He was
I mean,
going to be
killed him onto the
fine.
ground. That's pretty.
The road runner always,
Pretty
whoever
harsh.
falls down the
I
cliff.
mean, did you
they
see
always
how good he
survive.
got with that
The
needle?
wolf.
He was spinning it around like it was
Wild.
a
I know.
staff.
Yeah.
I mean, he was so.
I hear what you're saying about brevity and all that. My feeling with this is I want to see what they're going to come up with. Like, what can they, like
Yeah.
when they start doing the exercise montage,
Yeah.
I thought for sure when he went in that spider web that we were going to see a spider
A
go
spider,
after him.
right.
I was waiting
I
for
expected that.
I'm just waiting for the next, how are they going to, like, it's a fly. It's a tiny fly too. The thing was
Yeah.
tiny and it had all this weight in the film that you wouldn't believe if, like I said, you just, you try to explain this film to somebody. But I was waiting for whatever situations they're going to put this fly and the guy acting with the fly all around him. He was
I love
great.
that
Without,
guy.
like I said, without the two of them, it doesn't work.
They
You
could have,
needed
Chris. They
both.
could have shortened it, like that one scene where the guy's going to rob her, And
Yeah, what was that all about?
And then there was another scene where he straightened out and he was at the temple. It was like they could have cut that out because it didn't do anything. And the other one was when he flirted with the woman at the beginning. You expected that was gonna. I know they had that one scene at the party, but I thought it was gonna go somewhere else. And it just kind of nothing ever became of that. Other than
with the gun, I expected something back on that range.
Yeah, because he was the wife of one of the
right. That's how we got.
But the other thing that I was the
Oh,
guy that he goes into the junkyard and meets, the guy with
who came out of nowhere.
Right. That's the
we
one
heard
thing
his
that I'm
voice
like,
earlier. That's the confusing thing to me. Tonti or
who was he?
Contra.
Was he his guru or something? What was his
A
deal?
shaman or
Yeah, he was like a
Some
shaman.
kind of-
But even that
It's
scene,
so weird.
when he gets killed, all the windows come down and they get smoked out.
That's
I'm
great.
like, and he hits his head on the table. Like, isn't that what happened? And something went right through him. I'm going, oh my God, I wasn't expecting that.
Right.
It was great. The little fly, and he goes right up to the window when he's dying. And he's just, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Well, here's something interesting I think about this movie is unique is the idea of reincarnation. How that belief in, reincarnation, it was very prevalent in that film because, you're coming back as a fly. Like in our version, the fly gets the man gets, accidentally transformed into a fly through molecules, that get through a time warp thing. But this one is just like mostly,
But why a fly? I mean, why? I mean, what is the? And so he wrote this with his father. Why reincarnate as a fly?
because his father had reincarnated as a fly. His father, as a fly, helped him write the script.
No.
Are
Do
you just
you
trying to
think
be
that they
funny
just
now?
thought that
He's trying.
what's more annoying than a fly buzzing around your head? And maybe
I think that's it.
That's
also,
it, yeah.
can I say one thing? If you saw the Dudley Moore, Peter Cook version of the movie
Bedazzled.
Bedeviled.
Yeah.
Bedazzled. And please don't see the other one. There's a scene where he gets a wish. He's like, oh, I wish I was a fly on the wall. Dudley Moore.
Yeah.
And him and the devil become flies.
Right.
And he's watching a detective who's investigating his supposed death, hit on his girlfriend. And they decide to attack the detective. So that was sort of like this. I wonder if that inspired him. But that was a much
Possibly.
quicker scene. And in that scene, the detective just took out a spray and sprayed him and they ended up on the floor. And it was kind of a good end because he had to blow a raspberry to end a wish. And he's like, I can't blow a raspberry with these fly lips or something, so.
Oh, there was more scenes than just the one with Raquel Welch. I didn't know that in that movie.
Yeah. That'll probably be a film I bring to the thing if it's available.
Well,
Please bring it.
Let's talk about the ending for a minute because talk about comparing it to romantic comedies and stuff. He dies at the end. The fly gets mutilated and then dies and wins his victory and dies. And I was like, okay, I guess they'll bring him back. And I won't pretend to know very much about the way reincarnation works and what makes you come back as a man versus an animal or things like that. But he came back as a cooler blue fly. And I was like, okay, well, that's what it's going to be then because flies live a couple months. So he's just going to keep getting reincarnated, and they're going
And a
to
stronger fly.
Well, see,
they're
that's
gonna
what
love
I have
and
to
live
admit.
the rest of their lives. Like it was just such an unexpected thing, almost as unexpected as the very end of the movie with the dance scene, which
Right, the musical number with all the
God, I
flies.
love
Sort of like
I
at
was-
the end of RRR that had that big musical.
Oh yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I
But no
was a
flies
little
in that one.
distracted by the thought of, like, I wonder how long this fly would actually live.
That's what I was thinking the whole
And
not
time.
long.
how come he hasn't landed on anything to eat yet? Like he kept showing apples and rotten fruit, and like that would be a thing too, right? He'd have to eat, land on poop or something. I mean, what would he? I mean,
he drank drops
but
of water
again,
and stuff.
again,
Ralph,
then I
that's
go, wait a
funny you should
second.
say that.
It's a.
I
What's
was
that?
thinking about the fly. I was thinking the same thing. When is he going to land on a turd?
Right.
You
But again, it's a fairy tale. So
Well, see
the
that
fly-
that's the thing. Like, I don't think that you guys saying that doesn't. I don't think that means you didn't like it or something.
No,
but if you're
no, not at all.
no, what I'm saying is like if you're really into something, that stuff either doesn't occur to you or doesn't bother you. Like if you watch Kiefer Sutherland in 24 and you're like 7 episodes in and you're like, is this guy going to make a duty? Then you're not really sort of into it. And I didn't mind that they didn't turn the character into an actual carrion eating fly. Like I didn't need that because he really acted like a person.
Right.
And he was devoted to his mission of revenge and to save. It wasn't just revenge. It was, I'm going to save my love from this guy who's a monster. And it was so compelling.
Well, she was all in trying to kill him too. She was all in on the plan.
Yeah. That was great when she figures out who he is. And then she's like, oh yeah, there's no 20 minutes of convincing her. She's like, oh yeah, let's kill that guy. I love it.
Let's do it. Draws the red mark across the neck. But another reincarnation, I guess it's a comedy mystery. I think it was the 90s, Dead Again.
That's a good one.
Kenneth Branagh
That's a great movie.
Emma Thompson.
Yeah.
And the guy who played Derek Jacobi. You know, that certainly had its moments.
Jack
too.
Frost. Doesn't Michael Keaton come back?
The
as a
reincarnation of Peter Proud.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's a ton of them.
Now, Jack
not
Frost,
as a fly,
I got
not
to
come
admit,
back
I did
as a-
not care for Jack Frost.
Well, no, it's a
And I
terrible
think
film.
few did.
Now,
It's a terrible film.
if Dad was to come back, what would he come back as?
Oh my God. That's ridiculous. I have no
Now,
idea.
that's a tough question to answer, though.
What
Isn't
kind of fly would he, if we're going to do the fly, what kind of fly would he come back
it?
as?
I don't know.
Is
if
there
he'd be
like a
fly.
golf fly?
Yeah. Who knows?
Wow. Maybe he'd
Or
come
a
back as
bird.
a birdie.
There you go. Ooh. Or is there some kind of Red Sox fly ball?
Oh well,
A fly ball.
Well, yeah, try to tell somebody who doesn't watch Indian films like we do and go, there's this film about a guy who comes back as a fly and annoys a gangster to death. And they're like, what are you talking about?
and it's not a superhero movie.
That's right.
He's literally a fly.
He's a fly.
Yeah. He doesn't have, well, he does have extra strength, but it's because he worked
Because he
out.
worked
That's
out.
right, 'cause he worked
earned
out,
it.
man.
Yeah, he
Like a
got-
Rocky montage.
I love
in
that he
the
kept
light
showing
bulb.
his ass to the guy, too. He
Yeah,
kept leaning
yeah,
down.
wiggling it. Yeah,
Well, there was a superhero ant,
yeah, Ant-Man.
Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
let's
but he
talk
was-
about
but he
reality
wasn't-
for a second, please. Not
Oh
that.
yeah,
but
let's
he was-
talk about
but that-
reality. Let's get back to the movie about the
But he was-
reincarnated
It's not
fly.
that Marvel crap. That's
that was-
unbelievable.
Let's get back to reality.
This fly
He was
had
a man.
emotion. This fly seemed real.
Yeah, he was a man with science and superhero stuff, and this
And
was
didn't
like
he end
this
up-
guy just
Yeah.
was driven by hate and love. It was great.
And revenge.
Yeah,
Now, I think I read that the director originally wasn't happy with the CGI of the fly, and he said it's not going to work, and it had to work. They couldn't make it too terrifying. They had to make it be able to emote, and it really did work. The way the arms moved when he was trying to motion and stuff, it was really clever the way they did it. But yeah, if you were to tell somebody watch this movie, you'll really like it, they'd be like, you're crazy. Why would I even like this movie?
I love telling people about this movie. I
I
love
want
telling
people
them
to
what
watch
it
it.
is. Yeah,
Like
it's
I told
great.
Rose, who liked RRR. I said, Rosie, you should watch this movie. I think you're gonna like it. And I explained it. She goes, that sounds really stupid.
That's
I go,
why you
I
should
know it
watch
sounds stupid. It does sound like when Drew described it last week, I was like, that does sound kind of stupid. It's a typical story. Boy meets girl. Boy gets murdered, turns into a fly. I mean, but it
that's
really
what it
does
is.
work. It
Yeah.
does work. It was a little, listen, I don't think it was too long because compared to these Indian movies, it wasn't long. But
No.
there was stuff they easily could have cut out of it that really didn't add
Yeah,
to
but
the
you could
story at
say
all.
that about all the films we've seen from India. There are
that's true.
scenes that,
That's fair.
I mean, even if you just cut musical scenes out, you still got a good film.
Oh,
But
bite your tongue.
I'm not saying to do that. I'm just
What a
saying
beautiful
that they
musical
all-
number they did to professing
And hey,
their
let's
love. I love
remember-
that.
The last
There is a-
American film we did.
This had music that was
3
on the
hours.
nose too. This was just right on.
There's a
explaining
version they probably did it for both of them, but there's a version of Bahubali Part 1 that was added to Netflix more recently, and it's a full English dub, and it cuts out all the songs. It's like 20 some minutes.
Oh,
short.
some of those songs were cute,
And-
though.
Yeah, I can't imagine why you'd want
Drew?
to watch that without it.
Drew, did you see it?
Yeah, it's the one we did the show on.
No, I mean the
Bahubali.
one with it's cut out.
Oh no,
No, that
I wanted to.
version.
I wanted to. I've been watching the different songs in the different versions that they have up of Bahubali, because if you watch the Tamil one versus the Malayalam one versus the Hindi one, the translation of the lyrics in some of the songs is actually different. So it's like
Oh,
three
really?
different related songs, like the song where he dances with the three women in the market. it's all about sex and stuff,
Right.
but the poetry and the phrasing and everything it's different, and it's kind of interesting. One of them is a lot more like human body sensual, and the other one is more euphemisms and from nature. And it was very interesting, and it makes me wish I understood the actual languages more, because there's a lot of poetry that we're missing.
Well, a lot of the people in the comments always say we should watch a certain version of a movie, right?
Right.
Sometimes we can't.
I know.
This is the first one. This is the first one of Rajamouli's movies that we've been able to watch that was in Telugu. Bahubali, you could watch. They shot that whole thing in Tamil and Telugu, and we could watch it in Tamil on Netflix. But this version of Eega, the only one on Netflix, is actually in the original Telugu, which I'm thrilled, because I have seen RRR now 5 times after this past weekend.
Now, are you thrilled
I've never
because-
seen it in the original dialogue?
But why are you thrilled? Because the translations are different, or you just want to hear it in natural tongue?
It's just they make a movie in India in a language, and then they dub it. That's just part of the process. There's nothing there's nothing wrong or less than that. I've only seen the Hindi dub of RRR, and the fact that the 2 leads in RRR did all their own dubs in all 5 languages, that's just also impressive. But the movie is written in and conceived as a Telugu movie from Tollywood. So I like to, if given the opportunity, to watch it in the original language, just because, like Natu Natu, that's not the version that we see on Netflix. We see Nacho Nacho, which I love, but Natu Natu is the Telugu version of the song, and that's basically the official dub of the movie, and that's why that's the one that got nominated. So that's just me with foreign films. If there's a language choice, I'd like to check it out.
I'm
and
like
also,
that with,
speaking of Rajamouli, did you guys like his director's cameo in this one? Did you see it?
I
Where
missed
was he
it.
in this one?
He's the guy right when he becomes a fly, the man almost steps on him,
That's
and the camera looks up just for a moment, and you're like, oh, that's him. You can see his face and his beard all the way up at the top of those pant legs and stuff. I just thought that was funny. I like his cameos, because him showing up singing at the end of RRR still makes me laugh every time.
So he's like Hitchcock.
I'm amazed.
Yeah, he puts himself in there, which I think is great.
We're talking about.
We'll have to watch that. Hey, I got a question for you guys. Now, since we've been watching these Indian films, do you get that you're understanding the language a little bit?
No.
No, I understand when you
I
said
know
that.
the
he
word for
called-
fly.
Yeah.
No.
And no, I know. The word for no, but no, I don't. I mean, I'm watching the dub.
I'm
You know,
seeing
I'm
a lot of the
I
head
am too,
shaking.
but
I'm noticing a lot more of when people
Like
are happy, their
father.
head shaking, right?
Yeah.
And I'm picking up on some of the nonverbal cues, but the language is still. I'm concentrating on the
I
subtitles.
know, but if you next time you watch one, which will be this week, make sure you look not so much on the words, but look at the actual action. And you might
So don't
surprised.
read the subtitle.
I can't.
Yeah,
do
don't
both.
What
read
is
the
it?
subtitles.
Is that a reaction to a trailer you're talking about? That's crazy.
Those are easy, but I can't do that for the film. Listen,
Oh, but I
the
do
other
want
thing
to
I've
say one
noticed.
thing
You'll get it.
that Americans aren't necessarily familiar with, but when sound films began, particularly like the Hal Roach Studios that had like Little Rascals and Laurel and Hardy, they had their stars do the films in 4 different languages. They did them in English, Spanish, French, and German. So the Little Rascals would do all their lines in each of those languages.
Right.
Laurel and Hardy would, which also made these groups very popular in the countries, because like the Germans loved Laurel and Hardy because they loved their accent, the accent that they had as they literally spoke German. And they just had people on the set speaking in, giving them the phonetic
Yeah,
Right.
dialogue.
I don't want to watch foreign films with an English dubbing. The only one we
I'm the
watched,
same
Drew
way.
and I did one on Movie Strange, the 3 heroes. Is that the
Heroic trio, yeah.
the hero trio? I loved what they did in that one with the English subtitles, because it added character to the thing. But for the most part, if I'm watching a foreign film, I want to hear it in the native tongue, but I want to see the English subtitles.
Well, as I said,
can't
when I was
stand-
in Italy and I watched Gladiator, the Russell Crowe film, because I just want to see a movie in Italy. And they're like, oh, there's an English version, like an hour from now. And I'm like, no, I want to see it in Italian. The dubbing was so good and so matched the lips that you would think you were watching a film in Italian that was shot in Italian. They do a really good job over there because, they don't have as huge a film industry as some other countries, but it was really amazing to see that film there. I went with my cousin, it It was really good. Here, we're used to Godzilla movies, and
Right.
those Hercules movies from the early 60s.
Steve Reeves.
Steve Reeves and all.
But there was some in this one. There were
people do
some
an
strange
excellent
voices
job.
coming
We
out of
don't.
people. Some of the.
Now,
Some of the
here's
dubbing-
another suggestion for the filmmakers in India who are like these long subtitles.
And please write this down.
Yeah. very
Yeah,
important.
please write this down. I think, in the talkies,
So bold.
not before the talkies, they're regular film now. But when they would have
Back when there were
silent films,
talkies.
there were silent films, and they had less to read. They really shortened it. You see, like they're going like this.
Debbie, you keep trying to push the shorten of the subtitles. It's not going to happen.
I can't read that fast. I never took that
Speed reading.
speed reading class.
Evelyn Wood.
I never
Did
did.
anybody
Evelyn Wood.
catch the
Sorry.
Kantara? It sounded like the Kantara scream that happened every once in a while.
Whoa!
Yeah, there was definitely, and I'm not saying it was, but it sure sounded like that one.
Like in the soundtrack?
Like there were times when something would happen and you'd hear that what I thought was a
I
Kantara
gotcha.
scream. Have you got the other thing I want to talk about is all the and I think RR has a lot to do with this. I'm seeing so many Indian films popping up in our theaters now.
Yeah.
I talked about what we're going to go see. The Egyptian theater that has 3 or 4 Indian films there.
Well, the
And
thing
I-
is, you're just noticing it because we're watching them.
No, I don't think so. I don't remember.
They've been playing those
That
for quite a while.
Egyptian-
It could be. It could be.
The one in
Chris.
Arundel Mills that you're talking about, they have always had Indian films.
Okay.
They've also had
But not
Korean
here where I live
films.
in
Yeah,
Bethesda.
No,
Maryland.
not here.
Cinemark and
I don't
Towson.
know.
Now I'm
has
seeing
some,
them
but-
pop up in Bethesda, Maryland.
Chris
There's
is
one
right
down
down
the
the
I'm
street.
seeing
It's
that
always
like the White Marsh.
Yeah.
They're starting to show up.
And like I sent you guys pictures of the DVDs I found in that store that I'm going to start watching.
Also, I think
What was
one
the
of
one you
factors
found?
is,
Calcutta something?
is that the
well, Bollywood
studios-
to Hollywood is one of them, or Bollywood Hollywood. I think that's not an Indian film. I'm not quite sure. Bollywood Hollywood, and the one I showed you with the actor from Mission Impossible, the guy who played the
Yes.
Prince.
Well, here's
Something looks pretty
also
cool.
the problem is the studios are not releasing, the American studios are not releasing as many films as they did pre-COVID. So there are available screens, even if they put like Puss in Boots in 5 screens. It's 13 theaters, and there's all like 4 other movies.
Well-
so there's room for the Indian.
Whatever, we're going to start having some outings to these films. I think.
Oh, good. That's fun. That sounds
Well,
like
you're going to
a
have
lot
to
of
fly
fun.
here, I guess.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
Well, John, we're going to go see Triangle of Sadness next week in the theater. Would you like to fly down and join us for that?
Infinity
I'm
Pool
gonna-
is the one.
I think
I'm
I
going
want
to see.
I want
tomorrow.
to see Cocaine Bear. That's what I
That's
want. I want to
gonna
go.
be good.
That looks good.
All right, so here's
or
the
it's going
question.
to be really bad.
Here's
I
the
think it'll
question:
be good.
Fly people, Zuby do or Zuby don't? Let's start
He
with Chris.
loves that. He loves that.
I'm sorry, you're starting with me?
Yes, I'm starting with you.
How about Zuby? Meh.
Okay.
It really
Fair
could
enough.
have been shorter. And
Yeah.
and when I say shorter, I don't necessarily mean like cutting out scenes, but like that final action scene where everything was blowing up and it was like this great slow mo. I was like, this has been going on a while.
No, that never happens in our films at all. That
Oh,
those
no,
scenes-
It was. I think that was a
100%.
homage to Zabriskie Point.
I'm nice. I get it. But no, I mean, I say the same thing. I was like, I've said it before, like what we talked about the Matrix Reloaded one time. And like, there's that awesome chase scene on the
highway.
elevated highway that goes on about 10 minutes too long.
And it looked really fake on DVD. Looked okay in the theaters.
all right, John.
Like, it was all right.
I give it a Zuby Doo. Yeah, I loved it.
Have you- Sean and Debbie, same.
Loved
Zuby
it.
Zuby Doo.
Loved
Double
it.
Zuby. Drew, I know.
Zubaz do for sure.
Yeah, I say
That's
Zuby
great.
do. I loved it. I loved it, and
That's great.
Shocking that premise could work.
Yeah,
just
I feel
amazing.
the same way. How does this going to work?
I can't
Did it
wait
work?
for his next film. I can't wait to see RR if it comes out in the theater. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just. I'm
Well, this
excited.
is just another movie I want to tell people to watch.
I
Like
know.
people, I've been telling people to watch RRR for months, and if they listen to me, and a lot of them have, they're like, "That was really good." And then now I can say I have one that's in some ways even crazier, but it's also almost an hour shorter, so it kind of sells itself to you. So
I tell you, I often suggest a number of films. The ones that people seem most interested in is A Huntin', about the
I know,
blind
yeah,
piano.
I like that's a real good one. That's a good one. But see, RRR is the one that gets people. That's the gateway. That's the gateway drug for Indian films because you can't
Well-
believe. I said this before. it's what gets you to watch these other. It's what
Right.
what we did.
Yes, I agree.
So
So I was I was out in
lightning in a bottle.
California doing meetings, and I do I talk to the audience before I do my meeting, and a woman gave me her name, and her name was Lala, and I said, Lala, that's your name? Come on, it's got to be you're shortening, right? And she gives me her whole name. I go, where are you from? She goes, I'm from India. I go, I just got to ask you, have you seen RRR? And she goes, have I seen it? It's great. I go, what about Three Idiots? She goes, oh my God. And I went, zooby dooby dooby dooby. Ah. She started laughing. We talked about Indian movies for like 5 minutes. It was great. It was so cool. I was like,
I know.
sorry.
I told you about my friend who was going to India. I said, watch RR before you go. And he said he was a hero when he got over there. They couldn't believe that this guy was
Yeah.
watching this stuff. So it is the gateway. All right. So let's see what the next film will be.
spin the wheel.
All right.
I'm not sure which side it's going to be on, so I'm looking straight ahead this time.
Anybody have any favorites? I
A
know
lot
what
less
John
movies.
says.
Lagan,
PK.
PK.
Sure you don't want me to rig this, huh? Here we go.
Lagan. Ugh.
All
Now
right.
that's one that
Nice.
has recently been showing up a lot in the comments.
Okay.
So, anyone know what it's about?
I think it's about one crazy day for a bunch of people, many of whom are unpleasant, but I don't really know what the story is. And I think it's on Netflix, and I believe it's rated NC-17. So
You know,
I'm already
I
interested.
think it's about an unfaithful newlywed wife, an estranged father, a priest, and an angry son suddenly find themselves in the most unexpected predicaments, each poised to experience their destiny in one
How'd,
faithful day.
how'd you
John,
do
are you
that?
speculating? I mean,
Sean, we're
Ralph,
just
now
gonna
you can cut that into the
yeah, we're
opening
gonna
of the
just
episode.
replay that next week.
yeah,
So, good
absolutely.
job.
Sean
I'll
can
be
do it
sure to
next
wear
week.
the same shirt.
You should do
Super And how long is the film, Sean?
It is
hours
not
and
3
56
hours
minutes.
long. It is 2 hours and 59 minutes.
Oh my God! Wow.
That's a commitment. Well, I have a long trip up to Massachusetts. I might throw that one on the old.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
while
you
you're
know what?
driving,
Watch,
sure.
Ralph. You're coming to town. You watch it in my theater.
Ooh, nice.
Come on, let's watch it in the theater.
I fall asleep in
Together
those
like
seats.
brothers.
Yeah, you will. Yeah, you will fall asleep.
All right, so we'll do that next week.
what I wanted my audience to know, because they've been telling me to watch it. I've already watched the first hour of Lagan. I watched it last night
What?
when I was at the airport.
Okay.
So I will be finishing that film. I just want you guys to know that.
Excellent.
Well, Debbie and I thought, I thought and showed it to Debbie. We thought PK had won the reel. So we
You watched
watched
that one?
PK.
You watched
Most of it.
PK already?
Most of it.
Do you recommend it?
Zuby do or Zuby don't? No, don't
I'm
tell
not
us.
telling anything
Okay,
about
and-
it.
Please, Mr. Spoilers. Come
the-
on,
the-
Sean.
Sean
All of a
does-
You
sudden,
will like it because it has Amir Khan in it.
I'm
Sean,
telling you.
Sean does not like anything before it's time.
Okay.
Sean doesn't like
Is
anything
there
pre.
is there
before
anything
time.
is there anything
Don't
in
understand.
I don't
PK?
like being premature.
Is there any Sean, is there anything in PK where you're like right in the middle of the movie and you don't know if somebody died? Can you tell us if they died?
No spoilers.
No, okay.
And
We
that-
gotta stop
John. The
picking on
film
those two.
the trailer
No
we
spoilers.
reviewed the is on Netflix now. The game
Super Deluxe.
the hero
An action hero?
Oh,
Action
yeah, Action Hero. Yeah. I saw
It's
that.
also
on
in
Netflix
the
as
theaters too.
Oh wait,
Yeah.
Drew, I have a question for you because somebody somebody commented on a reply that I made, and they
Yes.
said that it's not pronounced taboo, it's pronounced thaboo.
Oh, I
Is
didn't know that.
Yeah, they said it's a th, not a taboo, and they
All
wrote
right.
out the word taboo. I don't know if that's right. I can't find anything that says what her name is. I'm trying to find it.
Well, I will
Taboo
use
is too good a name for it.
I will
It is a
use
great name.
I will use
That's not even
chat,
a real name.
I will use Chat GPT instead of Google and see what that tells us because apparently Chat GPT is even better results and also the AI that's going to take over the world. So I'll see if they can tell us how to pronounce.
Well, her
it.
real
I'll let
name
you
is
know.
not taboo, just so everybody knows. She's
Yeah,
got a
no,
much
it's
longer
like
name than
it's
that.
like Martha Hurstman or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
she's
Margaret
Jewish.
Dumont.
She's actually Jewish.
Margaret. It's Martha Goldman. It's
Margaret
just-
Dumont.
Yeah.
That's the
All
most
right.
ridiculous
Well,
thing
let's
I've ever
pick that up next time. Okay. We gotta-
And also, soon we got to start populating our reel again. People are suggesting so many films.
We got to get them all out first.
we got to finish this
Yeah,
first.
we got to
because
finish
gotta-
this wheel.
Everything
like
on the
you gotta
wheel gets a
complete this
chance.
Yeah.
before we go to the next.
And I do want to see those other two Shakespeare films too, Macbeth and
We'll
stuff.
put them on the wheel.
We'll
And
put
the
them
same
on the wheel
director.
next, the next set of wheel. So,
Yeah.
all right. That's it. Any last
That's it,
requests,
man.
John? Subscribe. We don't have to do that anymore. You done with that? I guess you're tired.
We got all the
No,
subscribers
listen,
we're gonna get.
listen. This is gold. I mean, subscribe, hit the notification button. For love of God, smash the like button.
There you go.
And you guys have been doing that. We really appreciate that. So thank you.
Yes,
All right.
thank you.
All right, everybody have a good week. And
Yep.
I think John and I might try to do next week's from his house
Yeah.
Nice.
in his
Since he's
theater.
going to be in town, we'll
we
do
gotta
it
figure
from
if we
the
can
theater.
set that up.
Yeah. We'll try to set it up.
So we'll see what we can do. That means we also have to watch the films while I'm there too.
That's all right.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. On the big screen, Ralph, 100-inch, baby.
We'll see. We'll see. All right.
Ralph's always been bragging about 100 inches.
But size isn't everything.
No, it's as wide as a tuna can.
We're done.
That's what's important.
Out.
Okay, bye.